The government just delivered some shocking news that could put thousands of pounds back in your pocket starting right now. And if you're a business owner or you're paying energy bills, you need to hear this because what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything about how the energy market works in the UK. Here's what most people don't realise. For years, you've been getting absolutely ripped off by energy brokers and middlemen who've been operating in what officials are literally calling the Wild West of the energy market. These so-called professionals have been charging sky-high fees, selling overpriced contracts, and pocketing massive commissions while leaving you with bills that are sometimes 4 times higher than they should be. But that changes today. The Energy Secretary has just announced the most comprehensive overhaul of energy market protections we've seen in decades, and the savings for families and businesses are going to be absolutely massive. Let me paint you the real picture of what's been happening. Right now, almost 10% of consumer complaints to the Energy Ombudsman either get implemented late or aren't enforced at all. That means when energy companies mess up and owe you money, there's a 1 in 10 chance you'll never see a penny of it. The process has been taking an average of 6 weeks just to consider your complaint, while you're sitting there with inflated bills and no recourse. Meanwhile, rogue energy brokers have been operating completely unregulated. They're walking into businesses promising great deals and then locking people into contracts that cost thousands more than necessary. I'm talking about cafe owners who were quoted £500 a month and ended up paying £2,000. Small businesses getting pressure sold into contracts that serve the broker's interests, not theirs. Here's where it gets really interesting though. The new rules are about to flip this entire system on its head, and the financial impact is going to be enormous. First, they're supercharging the Energy Ombudsman. Instead of taking 6 weeks to handle complaints, they're cutting it down to 4 weeks. But more importantly, they're giving the Ombudsman real teeth to force energy companies to actually pay up when they make mistakes. No more of this nonsense where decisions get ignored or implemented late. The automatic compensation system is getting a massive expansion. We're talking about compensation for excessively long call waiting times, unexpectedly high bills when suppliers mess up your direct debit, when suppliers don't respond to complaints properly, and when they ignore Ombudsman decisions. This isn't small change either. We're looking at potentially hundreds of pounds per incident flowing back to consumers who've been wronged. But here's the game changer that's going to save businesses the most money. For the first time ever, Ofgem is going to regulate energy brokers and third-party intermediaries. These are the people who've been operating in the shadows, charging whatever they want, selling whatever contracts make them the most money. Under the new system, brokers will have legal obligations to act in your best interests, not their own. They'll have to provide transparent information about contracts, stop using pressure selling tactics, and give you genuine choice instead of just pushing the deal that makes them the biggest commission. The financial impact of this broker regulation alone is staggering. Small and medium-sized businesses, which create 60% of private sector jobs, have been the primary targets of these rogue operators. We're talking about businesses that have been overpaying by thousands of pounds every year because they trusted a broker who was essentially scamming them. Think about this. If you're a small business paying £2,000 a month instead of £500 because a dodgy broker sold you an overpriced contract, that's £18,000 a year you're losing. Multiply that across thousands of businesses, and we're looking at hundreds of millions of pounds that have been unnecessarily flowing out of the pockets of hard-working business owners and into the accounts of unscrupulous middlemen. The smart meter improvements are another huge money saver that nobody's talking about. Right now, when businesses and public sector organisations are required to install smart meters, the contracts are all over the place. Some are fair, others are absolutely terrible. The new standardised contracts are projected to deliver up to £200 million in energy savings across the economy. But let's talk about what this means for you personally. If you're a household customer, the enhanced automatic compensation means you're going to get money back for things that used to just be accepted as part of dealing with energy companies. Long hold times. When you call them, compensation. Bills that are wrong because they messed up your direct debit. Compensation. They ignore a complaint or don't follow through on an ombudsman decision. More compensation. For business owners, this is even more significant. The regulation of brokers means you can actually trust that someone claiming to help you find a better energy deal is legally obligated to act in your best interests. No more situations where you think you're getting expert advice, but you're actually being sold the most expensive option because it pays the highest commission. The speed improvements to the complaints process might seem minor, but they're actually huge for cash flow. Instead of waiting 6 weeks to get a resolution when your energy supplier screws up, you're looking at 4 weeks. That's 2 weeks less that you're potentially out of pocket while waiting for compensation or bill corrections. Here's what makes this especially powerful. The government isn't just making these changes and hoping companies comply. Ofgem is getting enforcement powers specifically to monitor and punish companies that don't follow the new rules. We're talking about real consequences for energy suppliers and brokers who try to continue the old ways of doing business. The psychological impact of this can't be understated either. For years, dealing with energy companies has felt like you're powerless. They make mistakes, overcharge you, ignore your complaints, and there's not much you can do about it. These new protections fundamentally shift that power dynamic. When you know that energy companies face automatic penalties for keeping you on hold too long, when you know that brokers legally have to act in your best interests, when you know that complaint resolutions happen faster and actually get enforced, it changes everything about how confident you can be in the energy market. The timing of this couldn't be better either, with energy costs having been such a major burden for both families and businesses over the past few years. Having stronger protections and faster access to compensation when things go wrong provides a crucial safety net. For small businesses especially, this represents a fundamental shift in how they can approach energy procurement. Instead of being vulnerable to predatory brokers and having limited recourse when suppliers let them down, they'll have genuine protection and real options for getting problems resolved quickly. The Federation of Small Businesses and the British Chambers of Commerce are backing these changes because they understand how significant the financial impact will be for their members. We're not talking about theoretical benefits. These are real protections that will put real money back in the pockets of people who've been getting taken advantage of. What you need to do now is stay informed about when these changes take effect and make sure you understand your new rights. If you're a business owner who's been dealing with an energy broker, it's worth reviewing your current contract to see if you've been overpaying. When the new broker regulations kick in, you'll have much better options for finding truly competitive deals. The energy market has been broken for too long, with consumers bearing the cost of a system that prioritised profits over people. These reforms represent the most comprehensive fix we've seen, with the potential to save families and businesses thousands of pounds, while making the entire system work better for everyone except the rogue operators who've been gaming it for years.